Assalamu alaikum. That's correct. That Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. After correcting that salute, um, we are first of all want to apologize for a broadcast earlier. What I did was I was rushing and was doing preparation for Ramadan, and we went over Al Baruch and the surah, the second surah, and I believe the 208th verse. So I want to correct that, just so you know. I was rushing and words got tongue tied. Words wouldn't fall in the right place. So I just wanted to make that slight correction. But I'm sure those of you that are interested in hearing the word of God and not interested in finding the mistakes, because you'll find mistakes. Everybody makes them. I don't think you'll find one person that hasn't made a mistake or will not make a mistake. But nonetheless, the purpose of that short taping, if you will, or that short live was to make sure that we prepare brothers and sisters to observe Ramadan. Everyone can't observe it in the manner that they would like, or have the area that they would like, or have the comfortability that they would like. So I intend to give them something. And I am organizing myself to also do the five, to talk about the five pillars, but to talk about the five prostrations, right? And prayers that you can pray during the month of Ramadan and fasting, because normally prayers done 5 times a day. 3 times is acceptable, but prayers done 5 times a day. And we want to go over that. I want to have an example up so that you will have something to go by. And I don't think that anyone has a right to ridicule you if you're not doing something the right way, if they haven't given you some example to go by. So I want to do that. This is my contribution because I love you so. It's a contribution that I like to do for the brothers and sisters out there. Also for the Christian brothers and sisters. Because many of you are following Islam anyway, as it relates to the teachings of Jesus. And he himself kept the law. He fulfilled the law. He didn't do away with it. He kept the law and he fulfilled it. So for you, the observance for Ramadan, the observance is in Matthew, the 6th chapter, the 16th through the 18th verse. And that's just for you. Again, for all the Christians out there. Yahashua Aliyah Asa, or the one you call Jesus, recognize Ramadan. And if you go to the book of Miriam, in the Quran, you also recognize everything there too, because they recognize Ramadan. You recognize the order is equivalent to the order of the birth of Jesus as it relates to John, because he recognized Ramadan. You find also equivalent order is there for Matthew. Matthew is more specific in its writing, more particular in its history and its arrangement. And you'll find out there's a lot of similarity there. Why? Because the Bible comes from the Quran. It was recorded from the Quran. And those of you that don't know, I'm letting you know. It was recorded from the Quran. All of these things came from there. The Quranic writings are older than any of the writings. So don't listen to the lies that you've learned, because this is your history. This is Black history. This is your history, and our history is 365 days a year, right? 24/7. That's correct. So we don't give in to a Black History Month. That's the white man. You can give those to anyone that accepts it, but you and I don't have to accept that. And we shouldn't accept it. So I just wanted to say that as we wait to get into our hour of power. Isn't that right, brothers and sisters? Well, we'll begin to discuss things. Excuse me. Excuse me, brothers and sisters. I know you understand. As we get into our hour of power, and so that we will be united on what is going on, what's happening in the world today, what is going on with us, so that we could be the example that God wants us to be. We have to be the example that God wants us to be. Isn't that right? We have to be the example, because we can't turn to man. We can't turn to man. Man doesn't have an answer for us. And all of these black people that I see the white man using to quote unquote go against Donald Trump. I mean, you have to be foolish to believe as a black person that you'll really be heard. That's the whole trick of the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, to make you think that you're actually a part of something and that you could be heard. I don't believe it, but because you don't have any rights. I just want to say that. But with that being said, I'd rather know than not know. So if a devil is coming to me and he told me he's a devil, I'll deal with him rather than someone who's acting like an angel is nothing but a devil. The Democratic Party is a fox. It doesn't let you know that it's after you. It has to be cunning to get the chicken and the lamb chop on his plate. Whereas the Republican Party is a wolf. It's for you, it's gunning for you. But at least you know what to expect. When you see him, you already know. So if you put yourself in that situation, that's on you. It's on you if you put yourself in that situation. But it's the devil that you know. I would rather deal with someone who's up front than deal with someone who's always hiding behind every corner when I know that he does nothing daily except seek to make me his meal. So brothers and sisters, we're not going to stay on that too long, but just be careful. Those of you that think you have voting rights, you've already had Biden. You know what he can do. He's not going to do much for you. You're not going to do much for you. You had Trump, but at least he was up front and told you that he was a racist. He was up front. He told you up front that he's standing with the racists. So in that, you know that you got to do something for yourself right away, because Biden has had you with your hand out. And if a man can give you something, he can always take it back. If he can give you something, he can always stop giving it to you. But if you depend on yourself, right, and you gain the things that you gain are yours. If a man fish, you can keep that fish because that's what you're doing. Everything that you gain is yours. So I just want you to know that. I want you to be familiar with it, because you're in a fight, brothers and sisters. You're in a fight. So you have to decide how you're going to fight, because you're in a war whether you want to be or not. You're in a war. And the white man cannot save you. The only person that can save you is God. You should already know that. Excuse me, brothers and sisters. You should already know that the only one that can save you is God. You should already know that. You should already know. So my desire, my prayer is that we'll continue on this channel with all the strength in my body, and to keep this place open so that we can continue to put out truth. So we can continue to put out truth. I can't do it on my own because I need you, brothers and sisters. I can't do it on my own, but I need you. So I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here trying to put out this truth so that our people will know. Because we have to know. The time now is for us to know, brothers and sisters. Right? Nobody else has to know but us. We have to know that God is alive. And God is still here to help us fight our battles. Now, with that being said, God will help you fight your battles, brothers and sisters. But you got to be willing. You got to be steadfast, unmovable, and always abounding in the work of God, which is found in Christ Jesus. Right? Our Savior, which I tell you that our Savior has come. Our Savior has come. So we have to be wise. Tell you again, we have to be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of God, which is found in our Lord, Christ Jesus. Isn't that right? We know that our God has come, right? Our Savior has come. The teaching to save us from this world is already here. And the only way for us to change it is to duplicate, right? duplicate righteousness within every man, woman, boy, and girl around. You have to start with your community. We're talking about black people because black people are oppressed. We are the oppressed people of the planet. The Word, the Bible, the Quran, Josephus, right? Al-Kabir, all of these things are talking about us. All the holy writings are talking about us. So we've got to be steadfast, brothers and sisters, unmovable, always abounding in the work of God. We have to be righteous. Nobody can deliver us. The biggest trick that the white man has, as we wait for everyone else to get in, the biggest trick that the white man has is to make you believe that you are equal to him in this place on this planet. He teaches the system of racism. He puts you in slavery to force a doctrine of inferiority and superiority. Why would he, after all the work that he's done, go against his very teachings of white supremacy? He's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. And you should know that it's too late in the day for you to be that ignorant to not know it. Now, we have products, brothers and sisters. And yes, the brother wants you to purchase something. And whatever you do, it goes to help. Whatever you do. Now, you know I'm going to get on you because you'll spend money everywhere else. Isn't that right? You'll spend money everywhere else. Support yourself, brothers and sisters. Also, let me tell you this. You can start your own veggie station business. You can do that. I think that we should have black businesses within the black community anyway. Right? So we'll put those things in the feed for you. Start your own business. Make your own money. There's no sense in us talking about independence. No sense in us talking about independence if you and I are dependent on the same devil that put us in the situation that we're in. Can't do it. We just can't do it. So that's why the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is so important, because it teaches us to do for self. It teaches us to have some dignity for ourselves. That's the teaching. That's what the teaching teaches us to do. And we got to continue to do that, brothers and sisters. Also, we have the pharmacy. Support our black pharmacy. Our African herbal pharmacy. And we have treatments there that will help you with any sickness that you have. Any sickness that you have. And we want you can open that up for a business. You can also open that up for a business. You want to put that in there, start your own African herbal pharmacy. We want you to start it because that means that you'll have a stock in the business. It'll be something that you could do yourself. I'd like to say peace to Brother Derek Witherspoon. Long time since I've seen you, brother. Peace unto you. Peace be unto you, brother. Assalamu alaikum. I'm asking you to do something that I haven't asked you before. In the light that we're back up and running again, I want you to get some people to come in. We're going to be busy. We're going to be busy doing God's business. We're going to be busy doing God's business. So, brothers and sisters, happy to be back here with you today. And I want you to know that there's no better place to be. No better place to be than here. Now that we're back, now that we waged the wars that have been put before us, we're talking about a very serious subject. Again, assalamu alaikum and peace be to our brother Derek Witherspoons. Peace, brother. Good to see you here. We ask that you all get this information out to others. I know that on the West Coast, I understand because of the hour difference, some individuals will join later. I understand that. That live to them will come, I guess, a little later. But nonetheless, we're pushing to put this information out. Now, we have to talk about Minister Malcolm and the blood contract. We got to talk about that. We got to talk about that. There was a blood contract put against Minister Malcolm by black people. We have to stop dancing around it. No one wants to talk about it. It's a juicy subject. Everybody talk about it, but they're not talking about the right thing. Now, you know, Benjamin Crump has weighed in, but I want you to know that the government is not going to have any black man in front of you that they don't control. Now, I'm telling you that because it's the same design. It's the very, very same design. Benjamin Crump is working for the beast, and he's supposed to be the man that supposed to set everything right. Benjamin is working for the beast. He's working for the beast. And you got to understand that the white man controls the waves. Control the wave. He's not going to allow any black person to be in front of you that he doesn't control. I don't care who it is. If he has that black person in front of you, and with all of these media interests, allowing them to do these stories, then it's because he's allowing them to do it. Behind closed doors, he's probably already shook their hands and gave them the money. Huh? He'll never have anybody of any substance in front of you. Never have anyone of any substance because he wants to keep you exactly where you are. You know, when I look at the Million Man March, I have to say it. I have to say it. When I look at the Million Man March, what I see, brothers and sisters, is a journey back to the past. We literally were warped. We were warped by Minister Farrakhan all the way back to 1955. All the way back. And we stood there while Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad was telling us. I was part of his inner circle with Steve Coakley. You can research it. He was telling us, he said, this is a farce on Washington. This is a second farce on Washington. He told us. And we have to start there because the Nation of Islam, right? I'm stepping on my own toes because I'm a Muslim. Isn't that right? The Nation of Islam today is nothing like the Nation of Islam in the past. And we're going to have to talk about that. We have to discuss that. And we'll discuss it as often as we have to discuss it until black brothers and sisters start waking up to know what's going on today. Because if you don't know what happened then, if you don't have some kind of understanding of what has happened then you won't understand today. You won't understand it. Understand what has happened then, you'll be able to understand what's happening today. But you have to understand. You have to understand. So, brothers and sisters, I want you to know that the government would never have black people, I don't care what country or continent, local area that you're in, he'll never have black people to assume a place of greatness or even equality. He can't do that, first of all, because he's not the standard. The other reason he can't do it is because he's already admitted that you're great. The fact that he kidnapped you, if I can use that term, the fact that he kidnapped you, brought you out of your land, where you had all the inventions, all the sciences, all the math, all the technology. He brought you from there. He brought you from your land for you to perform miracles in agriculture, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics here in America. He couldn't do it. He couldn't even feed himself. Proof of which, he had to have you to plant for him in Africa and here in America. When he came down out of the caves of Europe, he was telling you that he came down because it didn't have enough crop, couldn't farm it, didn't understand the science of farming, didn't understand the science of produce. He didn't understand it. There's nothing that he could do for you. Nothing that he could do for you. It didn't exist. So as a result of that, he had to get the one who understood science, technology, engineering, and math. And once he got the person that understood it, then he could produce for himself what he could not do on his own. We have to understand that. I'm just laying the groundwork here. The groundwork has to be laid. Now, in saying that, brothers and sisters, I want to say this. Slavery is not a part of your history. It's an incident in your history, and many times a blinder to who you are, to your historical umpires. A blinder to Kemet, which the white man has named Egypt. The very name Egypt is an insult to that history of Africa. You have to know that. You have to know it. The white man, we're building a foundation here because we got something to talk about today. The white man is never going to help you reestablish. He'll always work against you because the last thing he wants is for you to be reestablished. God is already reestablishing you, and I'll tell you how. You won't have to worry about any leader coming to reestablish you. You won't have to worry about any race making you equal. God is reestablishing you, proof of which, when you first came here, you came here in chains. Is that right or wrong? When you were in Africa, you were there. He came inside of your land, produced with you mulattoes, right? And learned your way and then put you in colonization, which is another version of the chains, right? He caught you and colonized you in those countries. He was in charge of you, right? He beat and killed millions, right? Millions of us jumped over the boat because we've always had Africans fighting, no matter where we were. When he came into Egypt, you look at the Hyksos, you look at the Egyptian left, not the Egyptian, but the Cometians left you. Because there's a big difference in the Cometians and the Egyptians. The Cometians are the original people, the Cushite. Children of the Cushites. The Ethiopians are real. The Sudanians are real. So we have to use proper vernacular here. We were already in all the continents. That's right, brother. We were already in all the continents, even Europe. Europe is named after Europa, who's a black woman. You have to understand this. So the white man came out of these caves, to come down to a people who had mastered the art and science. People who knew the earth was round when the white man thought it was flat. People who understood science, technology, atomic physics, engineering, mathematics. People who understood ground zero energy, or what they call zero power energy. Who knew how to levitate. Isn't that right? Who could guide themselves by the composition of the stars. Who were real telepathic, empaths. Isn't that right? Not only could they be in a place, but they could project their mind. Isn't that right? So, brothers and sisters, we had already mastered these spiritual gifts, the scientific gifts, the engineering gifts, the mathematics. We had all of this stuff. The man came down to get it from you because he didn't have it. So he's already told you how great you are. He's already done it. Anytime a man has to steal from you, he's telling you that you're greater than him. Right? He's telling you that because stealing is animalistic. Yeah, that's animalistic. You going back to primal response. The white man is a kind of man. He's mankind. Mankind is not human. Mankind is not humankind. Mankind is not man. These are the levels of the African ruling class. But then there was a level of the servant and class of what they call the ignorant. That's mankind. Because it was the top. When he said he's the top of the animal kingdom, he's right. But you have to understand that you're not mankind. You got to understand that. And why am I telling you this? His line of Homo sapien is not your line. That's not your line. You don't come from any monkeys. You weren't born with any tails. I do know somebody in history that was born with tails, but it's not the black man. It's not people of color. Not people of color. You weren't born with tails. As a matter of fact, to get rid of the tails, they have to mate with a dominant gene. You are the dominant gene. Why am I telling you this? Because we've fallen from greatness, brothers and sisters. We've fallen from our rightful place. That's why. We have fallen in the hands of thieves and grave robbers. Right? And our ancestors told us don't trust them and don't treat them as human because they're not. What do we do? What do you and I do? What did our ancestors, those that wouldn't listen, there are always young people who believe that they know better than the parent. There's always, it's there. It's always young people who believe they know better than the parent. It was those that said, well, maybe they're not so bad. Maybe they're not so bad. And you and I come to find out, right? Same thing they came to find out, that these people can't be trusted. That they're full of evil. They're the destroyers of everything good, right? Their hand is against every man's hands across the planet, even their own. Even their own. And according to the prophecy, then they're going to take each other out. So listen. That prophecy can never be fulfilled if you got Judases and you've got coonish people inside the black community. Because every leader, and I'm getting to our subject, I just want to set the foundation. And every leader, black leader that we've had, every one of them, every black leader, whether it be local, national, global, or otherwise, every black leader that has been assassinated were successfully assassinated with black Judases and black coonish people amongst the black mass. It never fails. The white man can always find somebody to do killing. We're going to start up at the top. Let's talk about our present day killings. What happened? What happened? Now, listen. Let's look at some young people. You probably haven't thought of this, but I'm going to tell it to you today. Let's talk about some young brothers that were with us, youngsters that were with us that are not with us. One of the most famous ones is Tupac. He was killed by people that he knew. Puffy included, who act like a friend. You know he's no friend to anybody. The white man got him, literally have rods through his behind, controlling him to do every evil thing against black people, and it's happened. So now they're hanging him out to dry because they're done with him. See, that's what they'll do. The devil, when he used you, he done with you. Puffy had shook hands with Suge Knight, and there was a man that was going in between them, the brother that's coming out with the book, getting information to find out what he needed to do to set up Tupac. So they said that the brother's nephew did the killing, but the jury's still out on that because the nephew is dead. I believe the nephew refused to do it, and they killed him too. They killed him too. And I believe that Suge Knight and Puffy was working for the federal government. Yeah, they say, oh, brother, you don't say that, brother. Don't say, oh, yes, I'm going to say it. Working for them to kill an influential brother in the black community that they could not control. They couldn't control Tupac. They couldn't control him. And anybody this government can't control, they're going to take him out. That's a fact. Now you look at Left Eye. She was talking too much consciousness. She was hanging out with CB. She was giving out too much knowledge for brothers and sisters. You can't leave anytime. I'm gonna tell you, a brother can speak some knowledge, but man, look, if you want children to get something in their head, you put it in the mother's head. You get to the black sisters. If many of you brothers would teach the right thing and stop teaching your Johnson, is that right? You stop trying to make love to every woman you see, an educator. Stop trying to use her, because you're not making love, you're just using her. If you would put some knowledge in her head, she'll be the best force you got going, provided that she's somebody who will accept knowledge. Because you got a lot of chicken head sisters out here. Oh, yeah, you do. I'm going to say it. I use that terminology, I use it against my will, but you know what I'm talking about. You got a lot of foolish black sisters out here. I don't care how well you teach them. They're going to always work against you because they believe that the black woman is against the black man. They've listened to bitter mothers. They've listened to bitter aunts, listened to homosexual uncles and all of that. And none of these people have successful relationships. None of them have successful marriages. Many of them don't have relationships now, but they will mislead and misguide somebody they know God has given the potential to lead. There's a lot of young women that have the potential to lead, and Satan worked through the people around them to destroy the opportunity that potential can provide. Now, in our community, there are black people that are influential. Look at Takeoff. He was different than any of the amigos. Offset's an idiot and a fool. Yeah, I mean, you could see that. And you don't even know where the other amigo is. I don't know where that brother is, because you don't hardly hear from him. But I just find it strange that when Offset is killed, then the amigo, that was it. Because he was the fire of the entire group. Offset was the fire. He was talking knowledge. Look at Nicki Minaj. She's still with us right now. But they brought in Cardi B to replace her. Some of the brothers and sisters right now saying, now, hold up, brother. Hold up now. We don't want to put nothing out there. I'm telling you, what do you think a plan is? Cardi B hasn't done anything. Anything significant. We don't have any of the work, build-ups, or anything like that. We don't know anything about her. All of a sudden, she's on the scene. This other red girl, she's on the scene. The one with the red hair. No significant background. You remember, what was the guy named 69? What was his name? The one with the colorful hair. 6'9", I think it was. An agent from the start, and people began to know it. Right? Working against our community. Charleston White, another one working against our community. I'm just telling you, brothers and sisters. And it boggles my mind how we stand behind and support people that are damaging our community. I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. Then there was Aaliyah. Aaliyah was influential. Aaliyah had her own mind. Isn't that right? Aaliyah was taking the black community by storm. Aaliyah had the attention of the black community. She died strangely in a plane accident. Right? Isn't that right? Same thing with Left Eye. Dies all of a sudden, strangely. Dead. Influential people dead. When Left Eye was gone from TLC, there was no more TLC. No more TLC. Because she was gone. That was the power of the group. The white man is not going to leave anybody that has individual power, individual clout, or any kind of teaching. He's not going to do it. That can organize the mass, he's not going to do it. We're building up, brothers and sisters, because we're going back. Biggie, they killed him. What did he have? Knowledge for the black community. Why was he dead? How did he die? And who's the common denominator of his death and Tupac's death and Left Eye's death, Aaliyah's death? Huh? Offset's death. Who's the common denominator? Huh? Sean Combs, Puff Daddy. He's a part of all of those. He's no performer. He has no gift. He's dancing in everybody's videos, sucking every artist's blood that he set up. Does he have any gift? He don't have it. Where does he get the money from? The white man. The white man. Who put him there? The federal government. Through Clive Davis, who was a government agent to bring down the black community and to control the entertainment industry. I'm just telling you, brothers and sisters. I'm trying to put some knowledge in your head. Let's go on back. Jam Master Jay was killed. Isn't that right? Isn't that right? He was killed. Run DMC was powerful, but the core to their power was through the DJ. When they killed him, brothers and sisters, what happened to Run DMC? Could it survive without Jay? It couldn't survive without Grandmaster Jay. Couldn't survive. He was the core of the group. Every time a person is killed, the important people are taken out. What happened to Zapp and Rogers? He's killed. Why is he killed? Who did they use to kill him? One of us, his own brother. Why? Because of the influence that he had in the music industry and independence of the music industry, and he was a free-spirited person. You could not control him. You couldn't control him. Right? And it goes on into leaders. You name it, and I'll tell you why they were killed. Albert Cleage, Shrine of the Black Madonna, died in 2000. Why? Because of the influence that he had on the black community about independence and building your own community. Who did it? Someone close to him within the black community. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. Huh? Killed. Why was he killed, brothers and sisters? Because they couldn't control him. And this is where we want to get, because we're going to bag on up from 2001, February. Keep in mind, February is the month. February is the special month. February is the special month of assassination for the male leaders in the Nation of Islam. The female leaders are killed in latter months. I just want to tell you, I want to build it up because we got a lot to talk about tonight. We're going back to our brother. We're going to stay on point because we're talking about blood contracts. And these blood contracts are set before people that are close to those leaders. Blood contracts. Khalid Muhammad. You couldn't have Khalid alive today with the Nation of Islam that we have today and the agreements that were made through the leadership of the Nation of Islam as it relates to Minister Louis Farrakhan. Khalid Muhammad would not survive even today in that kind of nation. They would kill him again. If he was raised up out of the grave, they would kill him again because he was for the direct teaching of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. We're not going to touch on Khalid. Khalid is coming up down the road. But the path to Khalid, right, is the answer that we need so you and I can see what situation that we're in. So we'll go on back the month of February. Let's change the dates. Let's go back to February of 1965. February the 21st of 1965. And let's talk about the movement from the Nation of Islam, the movement from 1959 to 1965. And we're doing this for a reason. Because my argument today is that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't kill Malcolm X. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad himself was assassinated. And it was the most honorable Elijah Muhammad that was trying to get Minister Malcolm back into the Nation of Islam. As a matter of fact, in December 1964, and also January of 1965, and February of 1965, Malcolm X went to speak in Detroit in front of Albert Cleage, same Albert Cleage that warned Minister Malcolm about Louis Farrakhan. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And Malcolm went there to speak. And he said, I want to thank the most honorable Elijah Muhammad for all that I am. This is in 1965. He said, because of him, I am who I am. He said, and I've been taught to dress better. He even apologized for his dressing. And this is weeks before he's killed. This is weeks before he's killed. Why are we going back? We have to go back to Minister Malcolm, and the most honorable Elijah Muhammad in the atmosphere is the clearest example of what we need to look out for. People playing one of us against the other. Because it's always going to use us against us. Because if he uses us against us, then it keeps him invisible. You have to know that. You have to know it. You have to know it. And we have to have fireside chats about this because it is important. We can't go forward. We can't go forward until we question the actions and the current status of Minister Louis Farrakhan. We can't go forward. And there are those that are saying, well, you hate Farrakhan. I have nothing against Farrakhan. I love Farrakhan as a black man. I just don't understand his funny moves. And I say that as a Muslim, an Elijah Muslim. I don't understand the way he moves. I saw him when I was with Khalid do a lot of strange things, including separate himself from Khalid, who was defending him in a speech at King College. All you got to do is go back and watch it. But Farrakhan was in a place where he couldn't take the Nation of Islam because he had made too many promises. He had made too many promises to his white friends. He couldn't take the Nation of Islam in its current status with a Khalid Muhammad into a future. Khalid wasn't willing to compromise. If you go on Donahue and see the Farrakhan Donahue interview, Donahue asked Farrakhan, will white people someday be able to come into the Nation of Islam? Farrakhan said yes. There's no way that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is teaching that. Brothers and sisters, if you believe that, you're out of your mind. Completely out of your mind. You're going totally insane if you believe that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad would allow white people to become members of the Nation of Islam. You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. And there are Christians that know better than that. But let's look at this man Farrakhan, because we have to look at him if we understand the blood contract against Minister Malcolm, the blood contract against the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And we have to discuss these first, because this is the current death that affected black people. If you believe that the death of Minister Malcolm X didn't affect black people, brother, you're on the wrong road. That means you have no understanding about black love for black leadership and black leadership love for the black mass. You don't have many, matter of fact, I'm still looking. You got some. You don't have many leaders that are out front for black people teaching truth today. Not many. Don't tell me T.D. Jakes, because he's not. T.D. Jakes is a pedophile. T.D. Jakes is a homosexual. And T.D. Jakes is the biggest Christian hypocrite that you probably had on this earth. He's big physically and he's big literally. And he's big spiritually. He's the most evil, gluttonous man in the black community that we have ever had the displeasure to come in contact with. But let's look at this man Farrakhan so we can understand Malcolm. I believe that Minister Farrakhan was a plant inside of the Nation of Islam, and he was put in place for Malcolm to intercept him from the very beginning. He often talks of himself being in between Minister Malcolm and the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Brothers and sisters, this isn't true. He was a mess starter, carrying messages back, was orchestrated along with Wallace Waradeen Muhammad, who the devil used. Wallace Waradeen Muhammad, the oldest son of by Sister Clara Muhammad, Mother Clara Muhammad. Peace be upon her. God bless her. Rest her soul. Her oldest son, Elijah Muhammad's oldest son, Wallace Waradeen Muhammad, cut a deal with the CIA and FBI to work against his own father and to bring his own father's organization down. Because the FBI and CIA was concerned about destroying the works of Master Fard Muhammad. I mean, the man's own son, the messenger's own son, worked out a deal with the government to bring his own father down. Brothers and sisters, you and I are in a fight for our very lives. That was clear evidence. Clear evidence of his son being willing to do anything it took, not only to head his own organization, but to destroy the works of his father. What happened? Elijah, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, was building the same and different dispensations or different time periods, but he was building this and amassing the same independence and same financial corporation that Tulsa, Oklahoma was building, because he had black people controlling their own products. Black people were opening their own stores. Black people had their own car lots. Black people had their own cleaners. Black people were owning their own houses. They didn't need any help from the federal government. If they needed a loan, they could go to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad from his Federal Reserve lending from the Nation of Islam, and they could get those things. They didn't have a need for the loan system, of America. You're the one that keeps America out of debt. You keep them out of debt. You pay taxes and they won't even give you a loan. because they're not going to do anything to make you independent. And anything you have to make you independent, they're going to work against it. Right now, we got one United Bank. Isn't that right? We got that bank right now. Right? If you have an account there, I'm sure everyone has one there. If you don't, you should get one there so you can get an independent account at some black bank. But what I want you to understand is why you get that account at that black bank, understand you're getting it there because you have no help anywhere else except among your own people. Now, the biggest job that the white man has is to make you distrust your own people. And before he can make you distrust your own people, he'll find an incident where some of us trust one another and we were betrayed. I want you to understand that the blood contract on Minister Malcolm was really a divergent for what the government really wanted to do to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was the target. It was him that taught Minister Malcolm. It was him that taught Jeremiah 36X. He taught these people. It's him that's turning out leaders. His speech is turning out leaders that is building people up. But his foremost leader was Minister Malcolm. And brothers and sisters, you know how it goes. When you get a brother or sister that come up through the ranks and they gain a position, you know how some of us get. We get jealous. We get jealous and people begin to start working against you, making things difficult for you. Isn't that right? Right? And here's the key thing. No one is bigger than the organization. If we would keep the organization, no matter what that organization is, if it's black and we would keep the organization in mind, we'll be able to go farther by working together. Right? And that's what the teaching says. In unity, there's strength. Right? You can't get freedom, justice, and equality outside of the organization. If you want it, you'll get it inside of the organization. You'll get it between the security that you create within the organization. Isn't that right? Malcolm was a foremost speaker, not only in the nation, but prior to that. Prior to that, coming out of prison and being in prison, Malcolm was one of the most foremost, was the most foremost thinker in his prison. That even when they went to Bible study, Malcolm challenged the white man in the Bible or using the Bible. He challenged him. This is in prison. So the government was already looking at him. Why? Because you had groups that were rising up. Malcolm had a strong influence in the prison. He could have caused real trouble in the prison. His mind was still building and being built by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But I'm trying to tell you, prior to that, Malcolm was a thinking and moving machine. He was against the system prior to that. His wake up happened in the prison. The Nation of Islam would be the vehicle. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad would provide the vehicle wherewith Malcolm would be able to make these things happen. So what happens? He gets the teaching of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and message to the black man. He's writing letters back and forth. He's getting educated. Not only that, but he has a destination when he gets out. And this brother from prison began to raise the minds with this understanding of the teaching of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, began to raise the minds of Muslims that were out. And these Muslims have been teaching, the seeds have been planted. Malcolm came with a new fire. Malcolm came with the fire that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad put in him. And with this fire, everybody he talked to, he was saying to himself, everybody should be a part of this organization. If you're black, because it builds up the black man. The teaching builds up the black man. So I want you to understand that there was envy, greed, and strife, envy, inside of the organization. That was put there. Anytime you get an informant, anytime you get a hypocrite and an agent together, and they're working, right? A provocateur, they're working to create situations within an organization. All of these are paid agents. I want you to understand that. I want you to understand that. The target the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and his minister, Minister Malcolm X. That was the target of the federal government. First, the government tried to get Minister Malcolm to turn against the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Then they tried to get the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad to turn against Minister Malcolm. When they couldn't successfully do that, they sent us. They sent us in between one another to cause the confusion and to keep it going so that they could create an atmosphere. Isn't that what Minister Farrakhan said? That the atmosphere was set. The atmosphere was charged. Who talks like that? Other than a government agent. How are they going to clear you from some involvement that you had when you sent the charge out of what should happen to this brother? When you came to Newark and help organize this attempt, when your brother lived down the street, other Muslims know this too, all of those that would be honest, know this too, that your brother lived down the street from Minister Malcolm, and you had other Muslims that lived there that could make a hit, get out of sight quickly without being seen, and threw Molotov cocktails on the house and in the window, flashing that could have killed the children and the wife along with Minister Malcolm. And of course, they did kill two of the children, a child and a grandchild later. But we're not going to touch on that right now. Because the whole purpose of getting an agent on the inside is that the blood contract against Minister Malcolm could be fulfilled. You can't kill us without using us. Every place in history that they wanted a successful kill, they used one of us to do it. They want to destroy us, they use one of us to do it. This is what they do. This is what they do. Somebody work against you, don't ever in your life think that they're doing it out of ignorance. You can't believe that. If you believe that, you're a dead duck and a sitting duck to be dead. They'll use whoever's willing to be used for a little bit of money, for a little bit of prestige, whatever it may be. They will use that person. And most of the time, they use people who don't have any understanding, that are confused and without any talents. Most of the time, this is what they do. My argument to you is that you've been made to believe that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad had Minister Malcolm killed through ministers. That's not true, brothers and sisters. It was made to believe that way. We have sound bites that way. And they're creating, the white man is a master of sound bites. He'll continue to teach that. Isn't that right? He'll continue to teach that. He's a master of sound bites. But let's get to the truth. What's behind the lie? Let's get to the truth of what's behind the lie. Minister Malcolm, not only in the prison was he a danger. Let's move past the Nation of Islam and go over to the south of France that wouldn't let him in. Let's go over to him being poisoned when he was on his way into France. Let's go back to the CIA and FBI agents that were looking at him when he was making his trip to Mecca. Let's go to the FBI and CIA agents that came to him trying to get him against the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Let's think about the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who was welcoming him back into the nation for his own protection. Who told him that he loved him and told him if he wanted to come back, that's fine. Put out the fires that you started. What would the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad have to gain by killing a Malcolm X? Nothing at all, except the destruction of the Nation of Islam. Has nothing other than that. There's nothing to gain. I want you to use your mind, brothers and sisters. But there are other people. Now, the National Press Secretary John Ali was a government agent, FBI, CIA, COINTELPRO operative. This is common knowledge. Common knowledge. Now, he's given the orders, so who's free to take the orders? You got Captain Joseph, who's angry, right? And there's not much that he can do, but they just keep him angry. They keep him angry, keep him upset. Every time you turn around, he's angry and upset. But you got the movers to carry messages and to keep up confusion. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, you say he's honorable, and Wallace Waradeen Muhammad, that are taking messages to Minister Malcolm, the other taking messages to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, continue crossing one another, crisscrossing, working together, getting information, crisscrossing, to make the one and other think that they were on their side, while at the same time keeping them blind so that they could organize the hit on not just Minister Malcolm, but time it out that 10 years later, they would do the very same thing to Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was poisoned. He had asthmatic bronchitis, and they used cortisone treatment. And the treatment that they gave him had poison. It's poisonous anyway, but it was poison in it to slowly kill the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Also, it was laced with steroids, which would hasten the poison as it went inside to help the bronchial. Now, let's talk about Minister Malcolm first, because we're going to talk about the death of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. As a matter of fact, in Who Killed Minister Malcolm X and Why Was He Killed, book 1 and 2, I have all that information in it for all of those who would like a book. And I want to put that information in there, and all you have to do is let me know that you want a book in the comments or send it to the email, and I'll make sure that you get it. But the killing of Minister Malcolm was organized aggressively, because they had to get him first. If they could get Minister Malcolm, then they would slow down the growing and advancements of the Muslim movement, because there were still people joining the Muslim movement. When Minister Malcolm was out, there were still people joining the Muslim movement, including Muhammad Ali, because he was one of the individuals that Malcolm spoke with. And there were plenty of people. When Ali joined, there were plenty of people steady coming into the Muslim movement. So, again, Minister Malcolm being killed would do nothing, by the Nation of Islam, would do nothing to help that movement. Now, that's the first thing. And I want you to use your minds on this. Secondly, brothers and sisters, I want you to understand this, that before they could take Minister Malcolm out, they had to find an heir apparent to him. They wanted it to be Louis Farrakhan. They wanted it to be Louis Farrakhan. But Wallace and Louis Farrakhan got into a fight, and they continued that disagreement and fight to the day that Wallace Waradeen Muhammad mysteriously died. Matter of fact, after a broadcast that he had with Minister Farrakhan in India. I'm just being honest. The man has been a common denominator in the deaths of many Muslims, including Sister Ava Muhammad. I mean, she's in the nation, attached to Farrakhan as a lead minister, who spoke. Her last speech was separation or death, and she called Thomas Jefferson a pedophile. And she was doing great one Thursday, and then Friday, brothers and sisters, I'm just letting you know, we have to really pay attention to this. Our brother Pryor, we thank him. He says Reverend Earl Little in the comment section, brothers and sisters. He said Reverend Earl Little and wife, both Universal Negro Improvement Association members, that's the truth, sowed seeds of self-determination, self-reliance in the minds of their children at an early age. Brother, you're right. You're right. Which the father, and that's a good thing to bring out. Reverend Earl Little, Malcolm's father, was killed on the train track, they said, by Klansmen. You might as well say the government. What white man you know isn't attached to the government? Right? His mother was ran insane. Isn't that right? Because they wouldn't even cash in on the insurance policy. They didn't want her to have any kind of independence to keep teaching that to black kids. Here Malcolm is seeing this and he's growing up with it. He has this knowledge and he's growing up with it. He comes to terms with this knowledge and he is obviously searching. He could have found any other church. The Baptist church wouldn't do it. The Methodist church wouldn't do it. Or any other church couldn't fulfill or fill the void of Minister Malcolm's, as our brother Pryor told us, the seeds of determination, the seeds of self-reliance. No other organization could fulfill that mental aspect but the Nation of Islam. So Minister Malcolm was cut from the same cloth, right, and advanced thinking. So when he come into this vehicle to be able to teach this knowledge, he's already organized and ready for it. You didn't have to tell him that the white man was the devil. There's a lot of people have a problem with me saying that. It's the truth. It's the devil that invaded your country. It's the devil that put you in chains. It's the devil that killed millions of you. Millions of you. The devil did that. God didn't do it. The devil did it. Isaiah, the 14th chapter and the 14th verse said there existed one, Lucifer, son of morning. Is this the one that did make the earth tremble? Is this the man? It says man. You don't want to run around here like a fool saying the devil is a spirit, saying that he's a spirit. It is the spirit that is in the white man to tell you to do evil. It's the spirit that the white man used to get you to work against your brother and sister. It's the spirit that the white man used to have one of us to kill Minister Malcolm, and the man is standing before us today. And our problem is that we continue to forgive people in our community that have had people killed. Same thing with Jesse Jackson, but we're not talking about Martin Luther King Jr. because Jesse Jackson's hands is dripping with blood. We're not talking about Martin Luther King Jr. Talking about Minister Malcolm right now. The contract on Minister Malcolm. We're going to talk about Dr. King later. Not today, but we got a special day set aside for Martin Luther King Jr. Our brother, James Pryor, said Elijah Muhammad, formerly known as Elijah Poole, was also a member of the Universal Negro Improvement Association prior to becoming a Muslim. That is true. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I thank the brother. That is so very true. That is so very true. And further reason for them to do. What did they do to Garvey? What did they do to Marcus Garvey? They destroyed Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey and his organization, white people couldn't get in. He wouldn't let white people in his organization. Is that right or wrong? And there are no white exceptions when you talk about independence, when you talk about freedom, when you talk about liberation. There is no such thing as exceptional white people. You have to understand that. There is no such thing. When you talk about total independence, you have to understand that there's no such thing as acceptable white people. No such thing. If you talk about independence, for total independence for black people, you're going to have to do it amongst yourselves. You have to clean up your own communities. You have to clean up your own churches. You have to clean up your own organization. Set up your own stores. All this stuff you have to do by yourself. You have to do these things by yourself. Besides, you should be doing these things by yourself anyway, instead of expecting the white man to dig you out of the hole that he put you in. Let's get back to Minister Malcolm. There had to be a Judas, same way that Fred Hampton had a Judas. Fred Hampton and Mark Clark was killed by a Judas within the organization. They let him know what was going on the inside, so much so that he even let him know where Fred Hampton was sleeping. Come on, brothers and sisters. Malcolm X was killed by agent government agents that are still around us, posing as friends to the black people. If you don't have enough sense to understand who I'm talking about and what I'm talking about, may God help you. May He help your mind. And I want you to understand this. What white person has ever put a black person in front of us, right? Truly love black people. I said white people because the government is white. That truly love black people. Louis Farrakhan, and I've been saying this and I'll continue to say it because I know who killed Khaled. Know he was involved in it. All 4 assassination attempts, and the last one was a success. See? Yeah, I already know. You got to open up your eyes to know it. I was there. They can't tell me. I was around working with Khaled. See? But the white man to get somebody that he can use. He can use you to carry out the deed. And it's time out for being the Judas. See, we got to do something about the black Judases in our community. Got to do something about that. Stop them from coming to the meetings. Don't let them know nothing is going on. We got to have a screening process for Judases. We got to have a shunning process for Judases. You see? Minister Malcolm was killed. James Best, that shot Khalid Muhammad, was in LA in the 60s. They had flown him over to New York in the 60s. When Minister Malcolm is killed, his name never comes up. The same man that was flown to New York, that was a known killer, killed his own brother in California, killed his own brother. And once he killed his own brother, they took him to court, made him guilty on it, and let him go. What black man do you know that the government is going to let go when he's done evil? Slapping him on the wrist. No, I'm trying to tell you, trying to make you use your head. Same man that was flown over to kill Minister Malcolm, help kill Minister Malcolm in the 60s. This man shot Khalid Abdul Muhammad in Riverside, California, 1994. Shot him from the top of his head to the sole of his feet. And the brothers grabbed him and beat him, almost beat him to death. All praises be to Allah, almost killed that demon. And the police saved, trying to help you open your mind, saved this man, a black man. When police are around here killing one another, matter of fact, they was killing people more then than they are now. Brothers and sisters, you got to open up your eyes. They restored this man. This man was a lover, a fanatic for Louis Farrakhan, even to this very day. After the job was done, Farrakhan put him out of the nation. He opened up his own church and he's still teaching Farrakhan. Trying to let you know. We can't overlook the fact that this man is attached to Minister Farrakhan. We can't overlook that Farrakhan is attached to Minister Malcolm and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We can't overlook that. As a matter of fact, when Khalid Abdul Muhammad passed, and the brothers and sisters that were there know this, Farrakhan wouldn't even bury Khalid Muhammad. So our brother Silas Muhammad, one of the true teachers of the wisdom of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and true friend of Muslims, period, no matter where you are, came to bury Dr. Khalid Muhammad. He came to do the brother's janazah. He came to officiate. Farrakhan began to ridicule what the Black Panthers had done, right? He came to ridicule what they had done. He didn't bring a crescent to put on the grave. but he ridiculed what they had done and had egg on his face because he wouldn't do the funeral. He thought that it would stop a program from going. The man likes to be in charge of everything. He likes to run everything. He wants to be the last say. And that's the whole thing about a Judas. They have to be in control. They have to be seen. They have to be. Minister Malcolm was killed before our eyes and organized by plants that was put in the Muslim movement to stop the power of the Muslim movement, the power of independence, do for self, the power of, as our brother has pointed out, self-determination and self-reliance. That's a government kill. The government finds us to do it, but that's a government kill. The government is doing that. Question for us today is, will we allow the government to do the same thing? Use us to kill more of us. That old mentality is dying out, brothers and sisters. What I want to let you know is, and the last generation of the old that are the conscious of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and any other black leader that is doing wonderful for our people. What will we do? What will our decisions be? What will our decisions be? Our brother James Pryor, the messenger Elijah Muhammad, and Malcolm X were intelligent enough to use their life experiences as lessons to learn and progress in every aspect of their lives. And that's the truth, brother. That's the truth. You know, when I look at leaders today, because we got a new brother on the rise, Geno Jennings, he's doing good. He's a Christian Pentecostal preacher. They know they can't control him because he's liable to say anything. But he does a great job. You got some others that are on point. But in the Muslim movement, what will we have? Who will we have? Because here's the danger. They put everything under Minister Louis Farrakhan. Not only that, but they use people like Nuri Muhammad, an agent, obvious agent, wrote a book, and his book is outselling white people. Now, you know that there's no white people or black people buying books that's going to outsell a black artist, author outselling white people. This man is an agent for sure. We know about him coming in the nation, but don't know anything about Nuri prior to that. Don't know anything. But he moves and walks like a cop. He moves like an agent. You look at Wesley Muhammad. It's a shame. It's a shame. And Farrakhan is even allowing white so-called Indians and white so-called Mexicans inside of the Nation of Islam. Farrakhan is doing this. White so-called Indians and white so-called Mexicans. Remember, he went back to the days of Donahue, and when Donahue threw that ball up, because see, you know, they playing that behind the scene. Oh, yes. They playing that behind the scene. When Donahue threw that ball up, he said, listen, Farrakhan, when I throw this ball up, I want you to catch it. And I want a home run. And he said, Farrakhan, I'm about to throw this ball. He said, will white people one day be allowed in the Nation of Islam? Farrakhan said, he said, I know my brothers are going to be angry with me for saying this. He said, but yes, someday white people will be allowed in the Nation of Islam. Brothers and sisters, have you ever heard anything like that? Have you ever heard the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teach anything like that? He never did. But Farrakhan and Wallace were to rip the Nation of Islam and the American International Muslim. They were supposed to take people out of the Nation of Islam, rip it apart. Some go to Wallace and the other one go to Farrakhan. And Farrakhan was more successful at seducing and lying to people after he organized and helped organize the death of Minister Malcolm, and the government knew it. The government knows it. I mean, you know, here's the thing. Just give Malcolm's family the money that you took their father. You could never bring him back. Matter of fact, you killed Sister Betty in a fire. The government. Malcolm and Betty were threatened with a fire during the time of Malcolm's assassination attempt, when the Molotov cocktails were thrown against the window. Isn't that right? That you have to understand, a murderer has a dark humor. It was fire that claimed the life of Sister Betty, and Sister Betty saved young Malcolm Shabazz, who ends up getting killed in Mexico, of all places. Right? End up getting killed there for fighting for rights of they say, workers. He's ended up getting killed. He can go anywhere he wanted to go. They didn't kill him there, but they killed him when he got back to Mexico. There were other leaders that were killed in Mexico. Brothers and sisters, I'm trying to help you to see through all of this. See? Trying to help you see through all of it. But he can't do it without us. He got to have us to do the killing. It's got to be us. He can't get successful unless he uses us. And we got to be wise. We got to be wiser today than we've ever been in our lives. We have to be wise, steadfast, unmovable, and always abounding in the work that God has for us. Brothers and sisters, our eyes have to be open. I want to go through that epilogue with you tomorrow. We've set the stage now. We'll finish part 1 and part 2 tomorrow. We got another, matter of fact, in a few hours. Because we got 30 minutes, 36 minutes. Then we'll be doing part 2. So, brothers and sisters, I'm not going to run you through like that. I'm going to come back. I'm going to organize to come back before you so we can talk about part 2. And why are we doing this? We're doing this because we're on the move, right? We're on the move to organize right through the nation, the Lost and Found Nation of Islam, to organize our own line and to push the work that is being done within the true nation of Islam, the true believers of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And we can't do it without you. Also, brothers and sisters, don't forget to support us. You know the drill, whatever you can do. And I want to make sure that these books get to you. So I want you all to do what you can. And I want to get you all these books because I want to be able to discuss it with you. And I'm happy our brother James Pryor. Brother, I'm so thankful for you. I want you to come. I know you're gonna be my sidekick. We're gonna do this together for years to come. Me and you, Brother Pryor, we're gonna do this together for years to come. Because our people have to be taught, and I need a brother that's sharp like you. Certainly studying. I need our brother Derek Witherspoon. I'm glad to see him. Haven't seen him in a long time. So you brothers, you know we got to walk together and teach this knowledge. I'm back. I'm up. And we've got to deliver our people. We have to deliver our people. If we don't do it, no one else will. Brothers and sisters, I'm thankful for this opportunity. You know me, thankful for this opportunity to be before you. And I'm going to release you just shortly because we got to come back for part 2. And we got to be able to explain this. We got to explain this. And they're going to need that knowledge. And then we have the book. I want you all to get the book so we need to spread this. We're going to have some studies on this. We have the actual epilogue that is teaching. We've organized that epilogue so well. We've organized the epilogue so well that it is literally teaching the sequence of how things happen. So we've got this devil by the balls. And we know that the government is trying to put something out using Crump. Right? Benjamin Crump was nothing but another agent led by the white man. But we're going to put out the truth. we're going to put the truth out as it was. We can't leave all that weight on Minister Malcolm's family. That's not fair. We have to be telling the people what's going on and let them know how much of a seducing devil Louis Farrakhan is. I hate saying it. You think it gives me pride in saying that? I don't like saying it. But we have to be truthful. We have to be truthful. And stop forgiving our people to the point where we can't say anything. That's why so many people are dead. Tupac is dead because people kept their mouth. Tupac is dead because black people wouldn't talk about protecting this brother. He's dead. Left Eye is dead. Had people moved, they wouldn't be able to save Left Eye. Aaliyah is dead because of greed, money, and power. Damian Dash, he's responsible too. He talked about R. Kelly and Jay-Z. He's responsible too because he loved money. And the love of money is the root of all evil. Any leader that you think about is dead. Black people need to open our mouths. We don't have to tell the man, but we need to be honest amongst one another. We have to have some self-cleaning amongst one another and operate as people of God, righteous people, doing the will of God. Brothers and sisters, that's what I want to put before you now. I'm going to let you go for 30 minutes because we got to get ready for the next show. Thank you, brothers and sisters. And I love you. I love you, brothers and sisters. And remember, if you hate me, don't die. Assalamu alaikum. To the west, deserts